I walked through my front door at 9:47 p.m., exhausted from the medical conference. My daughter Sophie was crying on the couch. My son Jake sat next to her, his eyes red and scared. The TV blared cartoons nobody was watching. An empty pizza box lay open on the floor, grease staining the carpet I'd shampooed last week. "Mommy!" Sophie ran to me, her small arms wrapping tight around my legs. "Where's Daddy?" I asked, my voice already knowing something was wrong. Jake looked down at his hands. "Daddy left with Miss Kara. He said she'd watch us, but she left too. We've been alone for 3 hours." The room tilted. My hands went cold. Miss Kara? I'd never heard that name before, but somehow I knew exactly who she was. The woman Ryan had been lying about for months, the client who wasn't really a client. The reason he smelled different when he came home late. My phone buzzed, a text from an unknown number. "Relax, they're fine. He'll be back later." I stared at the message. My daughter still clinging to me, my son watching my face for a reaction. My hands didn't shake. I didn't scream. Something inside me went perfectly still and cold. I smiled and said, "Let's get you both to bed." My name is Leah Porter, and at 34, I just discovered my husband left our children alone with his mistress. 10 years of marriage, 2 beautiful kids, and countless nights working double shifts to support his business dreams had led to this moment. Me, standing in my living room, realizing the man I loved had endangered our children for another woman. I'm an ER nurse at County General. I've seen trauma, chaos, and heartbreak walk through those doors every single day. I've held dying hands and delivered impossible news to families. I thought I'd seen everything. I was wrong. Ryan Porter was my college sweetheart. We met at a friend's party when I was 24, married a year later. He worked in sales, always chasing the next big opportunity, always one promotion away from the life we deserved. I believed in him, supported every career change, every risky business venture, every late night at the office. Looking back now, I can see all the signs I ignored. The lipstick mark on his coffee mug last March that I laughed off. The new cologne he started wearing in April. The gym membership he suddenly cared about after years of my gentle suggestions. The way he stopped asking about my day. I thought we were partners. Turns out, I was just the woman paying the bills while he built a different life. The next morning, Ryan came home at 6:30 a.m., acting like nothing had happened. He walked into the kitchen where I was making breakfast for the kids, kissed my cheek like it was any other Tuesday. "How was the conference?" he asked, pouring himself coffee. I turned from the stove, spatula in hand. "Where were you last night?" His face didn't change, not even a flicker. "I told you, babe, that big client meeting ran late. I texted you." "You left our children alone, Ryan?" He laughed, actually laughed. "What are you talking about? Kara was here. She's great with kids." "Who is Kara?" "I've told you about Kara. She works with me. She offered to help out since you were away." His voice stayed level, almost bored, like I was being unreasonable for asking. "You left our 7- and 5-year-old children with a stranger." Ryan's expression shifted then, defensive, angry. "She's not a stranger to me, Leah, and maybe if you weren't always working, I wouldn't need help. You're never here anyway." The words hit like a physical blow. He was making this my fault, my long shifts at the hospital, the extra hours I picked up so he could afford his new business venture, somehow justified abandoning our kids. I turned back to the stove before he could see my face crumble. That night, after Ryan left for another late meeting, I did what I'd been avoiding for months. I opened his laptop. The password was still Sophie's birthday. He hadn't even bothered to change it. His email loaded slowly, and there she was. Kara Benson. Dozens of messages, hundreds of exchanges that had nothing to do with business. Plans for dinners I'd never heard about. Inside jokes I wasn't part of. A photo attachment from last week that made my stomach turn. Ryan and Kara at some restaurant, his arm around her waist. She was young, maybe 26, with long blonde hair and a smile that said she'd already won. I scrolled through months of messages. They'd been seeing each other since January. 9 months. 9 months of lies while I worked night shifts to keep our house. 9 months while I believed his excuses about traffic and difficult clients. There was an email from 3 days ago. Can't wait for the weekend. Tell Leah you're at that conference in Seattle. I sat back, staring at the screen. This wasn't just an affair. This was a planned, organized deception. He'd been living a double life while I trusted him completely. My hands were shaking now. But not from sadness. From something colder, something that felt like clarity. I took out my phone and started taking screenshots, every email, every photo, everything. The next morning, I called in sick to work for the first time in 2 years. After dropping the kids at school, I drove to a law office across town. The receptionist smiled professionally when I asked to speak with someone about a divorce consultation. Attorney Patricia Wells was in her 50s, sharp-eyed and direct. She listened to my story without interrupting, taking notes on a yellow legal pad. "Do you have any evidence of the affair?" she asked when I finished. I pulled out my phone and showed her the screenshots. Her eyebrows raised slightly as she scrolled through them. "This is good. Very good." "And he left your children unsupervised?" "He left them with his mistress, who then left them alone for 3 hours. They're 7 and 5. Patricia's expression hardened. "That's child endangerment." "Does he know you're aware of the affair?" "No. I haven't confronted him yet." She set down her pen and looked at me directly. "My advice? Don't. Not yet. Start documenting everything. His absences, any financial irregularities, every interaction with the children. Keep a journal. Save every text, every email. The more evidence we have, the stronger your position when we file." I nodded slowly, feeling something shift inside me. This wasn't about revenge. This was about protecting my children from a man who'd proven he couldn't be trusted with their safety. "How long will this take?" I asked. "That depends on how much evidence we can gather. But Leah?" She smiled. "Take your time, build an airtight case, then we strike." I became someone I didn't recognize over the next few weeks. Calm, strategic, cold in a way that scared me sometimes. Every morning, I woke up next to a man I no longer knew and pretended everything was fine. Every night, I documented his lies. He told me he was working late on Thursday. I checked our bank statements and found a $200 charge at a steakhouse across town. When he came home smelling like wine and perfume, I kissed him hello and asked about his day. "Exhausting," he said, loosening his tie. "These clients are demanding." "I'm sure," I replied, watching him from the kitchen. "Must be hard." He had no idea I'd already printed the receipt. No idea I'd started a folder hidden in my closet, filling up with evidence of every lie he'd told. On Saturday, he said he was playing golf with colleagues. Our neighbor, Mrs. Patterson, mentioned seeing a blonde woman dropping him off at home while I was at work. I thanked her for watching out for us and added her statement to my notes. Sunday night, I found a text on his phone while he showered. "Kara, when is she finally going to leave?" Ryan's response, "Soon, I promise. Just need to figure out the money situation first." I screenshotted it, sent it to my email, and deleted the evidence from his sent messages. My hands were perfectly steady. 2 months into my silent preparation, Ryan made a critical mistake. He forgot our anniversary, not just forgot to plan something special, he forgot the actual day existed. I'd made dinner, bought wine, even put on the dress he used to say was his favorite. The kids were at my mother's house. Everything was ready, and Ryan called at 7 p.m. to say he was stuck at the office. "Important client," he said over the phone, barely paying attention. "Can't get out of it." I sat alone at our dining room table, looking at the candles I'd lit, the meal I'd spent hours preparing. Somewhere across town, Ryan was probably with Kara, having forgotten that 10 years ago today, he'd promised to love me forever. I didn't cry. I calmly put the food away, blew out the candles, and called Patricia. "He forgot our anniversary," I told her. "Left me sitting here alone. Where is he, really?" "I'm about to find out." I pulled up the GPS tracking on our family phone plan, something I'd activated weeks ago. Ryan's phone was at the Riverside Hotel downtown, the same hotel where I'd found receipts in his wallet last month. "Document it," Patricia said. "Take photos if you can. We're building towards something here, Leah. Every piece matters." I drove to the hotel, parked across the street, and watched my husband walk out 90 minutes later, Kara's hand in his, both of them laughing like they didn't have a care in the world. I took 17 photos, clear, damning evidence. Then I drove home and went to bed before he got there. The breaking point came on a random Tuesday in October. I came home early from work, my shift ending at 3 p.m. instead of 11 p.m. The house was messy, dishes piled in the sink, kids' toys scattered everywhere. Sophie and Jake were in the living room, glued to the TV. They'd been home from school for an hour. "Where's Daddy?" I asked. Jake pointed toward the bedroom. "He said he had an important call. Miss Kara was here earlier. She made us lunch." My blood went cold. She'd been in my house, around my children, feeding them lunch like she belonged here. I walked quietly to our bedroom door. It was closed. Inside, I could hear Ryan's voice, low and intimate. "I know, baby, I know. Just a few more months. Once I figure out the finances, we can be together properly. She won't fight me on custody. Leah's too soft." I stood there, my hand on the doorknob, listening to my husband plan our future without me, planning to take my children, calling me soft like it was a weakness. Something inside me snapped into perfect crystalline focus. He thought I was soft. He thought I'd just accept whatever he decided. He'd underestimated me completely. I turned around, walked back to the living room, and asked the kids what they wanted for dinner. My voice was steady, cheerful even. That night, I called Patricia again. "I'm ready," I told her. "Let's file." The divorce papers arrived at Ryan's office on a Friday morning. I'd timed it perfectly. He was in a meeting with his boss when the courier delivered them. According to our mutual friend who worked in the same building, Ryan's face went white when he read the first page. He called me 7 times in 20 minutes. I didn't answer. I was at work, calmly checking a patient's vitals, my phone buzzing in my pocket like an angry wasp. He came home that evening, the papers crumpled in his fist. I was making dinner. The kids were doing homework at the kitchen table. "Can we talk?" he said, his voice tight. "Alone?" I smiled at Sophie and Jake. "Finish your math, okay? I'll be right back." We went to the living room. Ryan started before I even sat down. "What is this, Leah? You blindsided me. We could have talked about this." "Like you talked to me before sleeping with Kara? Before leaving our children alone? Before forgetting our anniversary to be with her?" His face changed then. Realization. Fear. "You knew?" "I've known for months, Ryan. I know about the hotel visits, the restaurant charges, the lies, every single one. If you knew, why didn't you say something?" I looked at him, this man I'd loved for 10 years, and felt nothing but cold satisfaction. Because I was busy building a case, making sure that when I left I'd take everything that mattered, our children, our home, our future. His expression shifted to something ugly, defensive. "You'll regret this. You think you can just take the kids? I'm their father. You're the father who left them alone. I have proof. I didn't." "Save it for the judge, Ryan." The custody battle started fast. Ryan hired a lawyer, some slick guy named Bradford Cooper who wore expensive suits and made promises Ryan wanted to believe. They filed counter motions, asked for split custody, tried to paint me as an absentee mother too focused on work. But Patricia was ready. We had months of documentation, photos of Ryan at hotels, bank statements showing charges at romantic restaurants on nights he claimed to be working, text messages between him and Kara discussing their future together, and most damning of all, testimony from Mrs. Patterson about the night he left our children unsupervised. The preliminary hearing was scheduled for November 15th. Ryan showed up looking confident, Kara waiting in the hallway outside. He'd actually brought her to a custody hearing. The arrogance was stunning. The judge, a stern woman named Honor Blackwell, listened to both sides present their opening arguments. When it was our turn, Patricia stood and calmly laid out the evidence. She showed the photos, read the text messages aloud, presented Mrs. Patterson's sworn statement about finding Sophie and Jake alone, scared and hungry. Ryan's lawyer tried to interrupt. "Your Honor, my client admits he made a mistake in judgment, but—" "A mistake in judgment?" Judge Blackwell cut him off. "He left 2 small children unsupervised for 3 hours. That's not a mistake, that's neglect." I watched Ryan's face drain of color, watched him realize this wasn't going to be easy. Watched his confidence crumble like sand. Between hearings, Ryan tried a new approach, manipulation. He started calling every night, his voice soft and regretful. "Leah, please, can we just talk? Really talk?" "We're talking through our lawyers, Ryan. I made mistakes, I know that. But we have 10 years together. 2 beautiful kids. Doesn't that mean anything?" I thought about those 10 years, the nights I worked doubles while he built his business, the times I believed his lies because I loved him, the moment I walked in to find my children abandoned and terrified. "It meant everything," I said quietly. "That's why this hurts so much. But you destroyed it. Not me. I can fix this. I can be better. Just drop the divorce. Give me another chance." "You already had chances, Ryan. You had 10 years of chances. You chose Kara instead." There was a long pause. Then his voice changed, harder, colder. "You're going to regret this. I'll make sure you do." "Is that a threat?" "It's a promise. You think you're so smart with your lawyers and your evidence, but I know things too, Leah, things that could make your life very difficult." I hung up and immediately called Patricia, told her about the conversation. She sighed. "They always do this. When manipulation doesn't work, they try intimidation. Don't worry, it usually backfires." She was right. Ryan's threats became part of our evidence file, another example of his character, another reason he couldn't be trusted with our children. In December, Ryan made his biggest mistake yet. Desperate to prove he was a good father, he asked for supervised visitation with Sophie and Jake. The judge granted it, ordering the meetings to take place at a family center with a social worker present. The first visit, Ryan showed up 20 minutes late. The social worker noted it in her report. The second visit, he brought Kara, actually walked into the family center with his mistress, thinking it would show stability. The social worker's expression said everything. She added it to her report with detailed notes about inappropriate judgment. The third visit, Ryan forgot completely, just didn't show up. Sophie and Jake waited for an hour, confused and hurt, before I took them home. The social worker called that evening, apologizing for the situation and promising her report would reflect his absence. Patricia nearly laughed when I told her, "He's doing our job for us. At this rate, he'll lose all parental rights before the final hearing." But watching my children's faces when their father didn't show up wasn't satisfying. It was heartbreaking. They loved him, looked up to him, and he was teaching them that they didn't matter, that Kara mattered more, that his convenience mattered more. Sophie asked me that night, "Does Daddy not want to see us anymore?" I held her close, choosing my words carefully. "Daddy's going through some difficult things right now, sweetheart, but I will always be here. Always." January brought new discoveries. Patricia's investigator found something buried in Ryan's finances. A new bank account under his business name opened 6 months ago, an account I knew nothing about where he'd been hiding income, not just a little. Over $40,000 in deposits that should have been in our joint account, money for our mortgage, bills, children's needs, money he'd hidden for his new life with Kara. "This changes everything," Patricia said, spreading statements across her desk. "He's been planning this 6 months minimum, systematically hiding assets. That's financial fraud." "Can we use this?" "Absolutely. Look at the withdrawals." I scanned the list. Hotels, jewelry stores, travel agencies. He'd funded his affair with money stolen from our family. "He bought her a diamond bracelet," I said, pointing to a $3,200 charge, "for her birthday, while I picked up extra shifts to pay our water bill." Patricia's expression was fierce. "He's not just a cheating husband, he's a thief. Judges hate financial deception, especially with children involved." What do we do? Emergency motion to freeze all accounts. Show the judge exactly what Ryan Porter really is. The emergency hearing was January 22nd. Ryan showed up nervous. His lawyer, Bradford Cooper, seemed less confident. Patricia presented financial evidence methodically, bank statements, deposits, withdrawals. Every dollar Ryan hid while I paid family bills with my nursing salary. Your Honor, Patricia said, Mr. Porter systematically defrauded his wife and children. He hid over $40,000 while Mrs. Porter worked doubles to keep their home. He used marital funds for his affair, purchasing expensive gifts for his mistress while his children wore hand-me-downs. Judge Blackwell studied the documents, expression darkening. Mr. Porter, did you open this account without your wife's knowledge? Ryan stood, clearing his throat. Your Honor, I was planning to tell her. It was for business. Business purposes? The judge held up a statement. This shows a $3,200 jewelry store purchase. What business requires diamond bracelets? Cooper tried intervening. Your Honor, if I may. You may not. Mr. Porter, I asked you a question. Ryan flushed. I made poor decisions, but that doesn't... It means exactly what it looks like. You stole from your family to fund an affair. Do you understand how serious that is? The judge ordered all Ryan's accounts frozen. Pending full disclosure and forensic accounting, Ryan went pale. After the hearing, Ryan waited for me in the parking lot. His face was furious, desperate. Kara stood by his car, watching. You're destroying me, he said, stepping in front of me. Is that what you want? To ruin my life? I want what's fair, Ryan. What I should have had all along, honesty, partnership, safety for our children. I gave you 10 years. You gave me 10 years of lies. I stepped around him, heading toward my car. And I'm done accepting them. Kara's pregnant. The words stopped me cold. I turned slowly. He looked almost triumphant, like this was his trump card. We're having a baby, so whatever you think you're accomplishing here, you're not breaking us apart. I studied his face, looking for the man I'd married. He wasn't there anymore. Maybe he'd never been there. Just a careful performance that had finally dropped. Congratulations, I said quietly. I hope you're better to that child than you were to ours. I got in my car and drove away. In my rearview mirror, I watched Ryan stand there, his victory turning hollow. Kara was pregnant. They were having a baby. And somehow it didn't hurt the way he'd wanted it to. It just made me more certain I was doing the right thing. My children deserved better than a father who abandoned them for a new family. They deserved stability, honesty, love without conditions. They deserved me. February brought the final custody hearing. The courtroom was cold. Ryan sat with Bradford Cooper, Kara noticeably absent. Even his lawyer knew better than to bring her. Judge Blackwell reviewed 4 months of evidence, photos, bank statements, social worker reports, Mrs. Patterson's testimony. Everything showed a man who chose desires over responsibilities. Patricia called me first. I testified about finding my children alone and scared, about Ryan's lies and absences, about working doubles while he hid money for his affair. Bradford Cooper tried during cross-examination. Mrs. Porter, you often worked long hours, correct? I worked to support our family, I said calmly. Ryan said his business needed time. I trusted him with our children while I provided financially. He betrayed that trust. But you were frequently absent. I was at work, at a hospital, saving lives. That's different from hotels with a mistress while children sit home alone. The gallery murmured. Cooper's jaw tightened. Then Patricia called the social worker. Her testimony was devastating. 3 visits scheduled. 1 late, 1 with inappropriate companion, 1 complete no-show. Ryan took the stand. It was a disaster. Bradford tried to paint him as a loving father making mistakes. Ryan couldn't follow the script. Do you love your children? Cooper asked. Of course, they're my world. Then explain the incident where they were left unsupervised? Ryan shifted. Kara was supposed to stay. She had an emergency. Patricia stood. Objection. That contradicts the children's testimony. They said Miss Benson left immediately. Judge Blackwell looked at Ryan. Are you changing your story? No. I meant she stayed briefly then had to go. Leaving 2 children alone. Just for an hour. At the hotel, Patricia said, with Miss Benson. We have GPS records showing both phones at Riverside Hotel that evening. Silence. Ryan's mouth opened, closed, no answer, caught lying under oath. Judge Blackwell's expression turned to stone. You lied to this court about responsible care, your whereabouts, your priorities. Ryan's arrogance finally crumbled. The ruling came down hard. Full custody to me. Ryan got supervised visitation every other weekend, pending parenting classes, hidden assets split equitably with financial penalties, child support based on actual income, including hidden funds. Ryan went white as Judge Blackwell read the order. Everything he'd protected, hidden, kept for Kara, was being stripped away. Furthermore, I'm ordering forensic accounting of all Mr. Porter's business assets. If additional hidden funds are discovered, we'll revisit the settlement. Your Honor, Cooper stood. We'd like to request, denied. This hearing is concluded. The gavel fell. Final. I sat there, Patricia's hand on my shoulder, feeling relief. Justice. My children would be safe. Ryan shoved his chair back so hard it fell. He stormed out, Cooper hurrying after. Patricia smiled. You did it. After 4 months of preparation, documentation, strategic patience, I'd won. Not revenge. I'd won my children's safety, their future, their trust. That mattered more than anything. The weeks after felt strange. Quiet. I'd prepared for battle so long that peace felt foreign. Sophie and Jake adjusted fast, happy, relaxed. No confusion about Daddy or Miss Kara. Ryan's first supervised visit was awkward. He arrived on time with expensive toys he couldn't afford. Sophie thanked him politely. Jake asked why they couldn't go to the park. Because Daddy made bad choices, Ryan said. We'll fix this soon. The social worker noted his inappropriate response. He should take responsibility, not make false promises. After pickup, Sophie hugged me. I like it better at home with you, Mommy. That night, Ryan texted, This supervised thing is ridiculous, we need to talk. I didn't respond. Silence was safer. Another text an hour later. Please, Leah. I blocked his number. Communication went through lawyers only. March brought news. Kara left Ryan. Being with a man who'd lost custody, had frozen assets, and faced accounting wasn't romantic anymore. I heard through friends. Ryan begged her to stay at her apartment. She packed up, 8 months pregnant, and moved to her parents out of state. Needed stability. Someone reliable. Ryan wasn't it. I felt nothing. Just distant acknowledgement that actions have consequences. Ryan burned his life for an affair under a year. Now he had nothing. The forensic accountant found another $27,000 in hidden accounts. Judge Blackwell adjusted the settlement, giving me more for his deception. Also ordered him to pay my legal fees, all $30,000. Ryan tried appealing. His cheaper lawyer filed motions claiming harsh judgment, all denied. Judge Blackwell's decision stood. Ryan was trapped by his own choices. In April, I started therapy, not from brokenness, but to process properly. The betrayal, fear, anger. I wanted real healing for myself and my children. Dr. Hannah Price was gentle but direct. You've experienced betrayal trauma. It's real and serious. I feel like I should be angrier. Everyone expects me to hate him. That's normal. You spent months in survival mode. Now exhaustion hits. Is it over? The legal battle is. Emotional recovery takes longer, but you did something remarkable. You protected your children while protecting yourself. I thought about the woman I'd been that October night, scared, confused, and who I'd become, stronger, clearer. I couldn't let him win. He lost more than court, Dr. Price said. He lost his family, his children's trust, self-respect. That's bigger than any judge's order. Ryan had destroyed himself. I'd just prevented him from destroying us, too. Mother's Day arrived in May. Sophie and Jake made breakfast. Burnt toast, over-salted eggs, juice in a wine glass. Perfect. Happy Mother's Day, Mommy, Sophie said, climbing into bed. Jake followed carefully. "We made cards," Jake announced, handing me construction paper covered in crayon hearts. Inside, "You're the best mom. You keep us safe. Love, Jake." Sophie's, "Thank you for always being here, even when things were scary. You made everything okay." I held both cards, tears falling. These kids had seen betrayal, felt abandonment, watched their family collapse, and they thanked me for keeping them safe. "I love you both," I whispered, pulling them close. "You're my world." We spent the day together. Park, ice cream, movies, simple, happy, no drama, no fear, no wondering, just us, safe and healing. That evening, Ryan called. The kids talked briefly on speaker, stilted, awkward. After 5 minutes, Sophie said, "Bye, Daddy, Mom's making dinner." They ran off. Ryan stayed on the line. "Leah?" Ryan's voice was small, broken. "Can we talk? Just for a minute?" I almost hung up, but something made me listen. Maybe curiosity, maybe closure. "What do you want, Ryan?" "I want to apologize." "Really apologize? Not for the lawyers or the judge? For you? For what I did to you and the kids?" I waited, silence stretching between us. "I destroyed everything," he continued, his voice thick. "Our marriage, our family, the kids barely talk to me anymore. Kara left, I lost the business, everything's gone, and it's my fault, all of it." "Yes," I said quietly. "It is. I know I can't fix it, can't go back, but I need you to know I'm sorry. I was selfish and stupid and cruel. You deserved better, the kids deserved better." "We did," I agreed, "and we found it. Without you." He was quiet for a long moment. Then, "Are you happy now? Is this what you wanted?" I thought about the question, about the life I had now. Peaceful mornings with my children. No lies, no fear, no wondering if my partner was betraying me. Just honest. Simple days filled with work I loved and kids who felt safe. I wanted a partner who loved me enough to stay faithful, I said. I wanted a father who put his children first. I wanted honesty and respect and partnership. You couldn't give me any of that. So yes, Ryan, I'm happier now than I was living a lie. I wish I could go back, do it all differently. You can't. None of us can. We just have to live with our choices. I hung up before he could respond. There was nothing left to say. Summer arrived warm and full of possibility. Sophie and Jake finished strong. Sophie made honor roll. Jake joined Little League. They thrived in our stability. I got promoted to nurse supervisor. Better hours, pay, respect. My manager praised my strength during difficulty, how I never let personal crisis affect work. I was proud of that dignity. Ryan's supervised visits continued, more consistent now, still awkward, still trying too hard but showing up, taking classes, following rules, maybe learning, maybe performing. Either way, not my problem. Kara had her baby in July, a girl. Ryan sent me a photo. I deleted it without responding. That was his life now, separate. I wished him no harm but wanted no part of my future. One evening, Sophie asked, "Will you get married again?" I smiled, brushing her hair. "Maybe someday, when I meet someone who deserves us." "What if you don't?" "Then we'll be fine, just us. We don't need anyone else to be happy." I meant it. For the first time, I wasn't defined by relationships. Just Leah, mother, nurse, survivor, complete alone. 3 months later, Ryan asked to meet, coffee shop downtown. I went, curious. He looked different, older, tired. The arrogance gone, replaced by humility. "I'm moving to Colorado, fresh start. Kara's there with the baby. We're trying to make it work." "Good luck. I wanted to tell you in person and ask if maybe we could work toward unsupervised visitation. I've completed classes, therapy. I'm trying to be better." I studied him carefully, looking for manipulation. This Ryan just looked defeated and hopeful. "That's between you and the court. If you prove you've changed, if social workers recommend it, I won't object, but you have to earn that trust back yourself." He nodded, then pulled out an envelope. "For you?" Inside was a check, $50,000. What is this? Settlement from selling the business. It's yours. For everything. For the kids. I know it doesn't fix anything, but it's what I can offer. I stared at the check. This man who'd stolen, lied, endangered our children, offering restitution like money healed damage. I don't want your money. Please, college funds for the kids, whatever you need. I want to do something right finally. I folded it into my purse, for Sophie and Jake's future. Thank you. Uncomfortable silence. I know you'll never forgive me, Ryan said quietly. I don't expect it, but I hope someday you can move past the hate. I smiled. Real? Ryan, I don't hate you. I haven't for a long time. Hate requires caring, and I stopped caring when you left our children alone. You're just someone I used to know, the father of my kids, nothing more. His face crumpled. Maybe he wanted my hate. It would mean I still felt something. Indifference was worse. Final. I stood, gathering my purse. I hope Colorado is good. I hope you become the father your new daughter deserves. I hope you learn to be better. Leah, wait! I turned back. He stood, desperate, broken. I'm sorry, for all of it. You were right. I know, I said simply. Goodbye, Ryan. I walked out into summer sunshine, lighter than I'd felt in years. Behind me was a man who tried destroying my life. Ahead was everything I'd built from ashes, my children, my career, my peace. He wanted to break me with betrayal. Instead, he freed me, forced me to become stronger than I knew possible. Last October, I walked into that house to find my children abandoned and terrified. I walked out with my head high and future secure. Ryan thought he could leave our kids with his mistress without consequences. He learned differently. I came back with paperwork that stopped his smile, took his assets, protected my children, and built a life he couldn't touch. Sometimes the best revenge isn't destruction. It's survival, success, peace. I survived. I succeeded. I found peace. He got exactly what he deserved. Nothing.